to win the crown. All the marbles involved, football, baseball, or golf. Who's dominating the hoops? Who's talking false or the truth? Yeah, come and show me your war face. I'll show you my war face. No holds barred, so for your sake, you better show up in good shape. Valuable information is key to your domination. So focus on preparation, online is your reputation. Yeah, it's one-on-one, you and me, ain't no fear in me, you will see. When it comes to this, you'll be wearing the number 23. In debate, I hold my weight, cause these sports I'm attached to it. Your legacy, get ready, cause I'm gonna set a match to it. Hey. Burn 'em, fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire.
Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. It is episode 67 on Legacy on Fire here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and, of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. We are so glad to have you all here with us as we get ready for our draft recap episode. And we're excited because even though we're sad that the NFL draft is over, scheduling is next. So another event to get a little bit happier for, plan out, hey, what games we going to this year? All of that stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. You got OT, off-season training program, all that good stuff, veteran camps, rookie camps, all that stuff is starting to wind up. So it's not over just yet, football fans. But with all that being said, we got draft to talk about. And let me go ahead and introduce my guys. Of course, diagonal to me, going diagonal towards the other way here. My co-host here, Legacy on Fire, avid Chicago Bulls fan, avid Atlanta Falcons fan, and Michael Penix fan, Mr. James Brown. How you doing today, sir?
Doing good. Fresh off a week full of surprises. When it came to the draft, we got a new kid in town, man. It should be interesting.
Should
the
be.
Falcons don't do anything else. They keep it interesting. They really do.
Touche, sir. Touche. And then above him, also the Legacy Maker Sports Network, our man, Commonwealth Sports Talk. He does a little bit of everything. I can go on and on and on, play by play, color commentary, a little something out there in the Motor City right now. He just came from being at the draft himself. Mr. Lamonte Thomas, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Definitely glad to be back on with the guys. And yes, I was here for the draft. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the content that I wanted because it reached capacity because there was 700,000 people here last Thursday, and it was absolutely insane. But yeah, I'm glad to be back on. We definitely got to talk shop, talk football. Let's do it.
Most definitely. And below me here, he is a draft expert beyond belief. And then on top of that, graphics guru and, of course, co-host of the 4Y podcast, my man, Mr. Cody Stewart. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, man, look, no JJ McCarthy. I'm very happy right now. So that's all I have to say.
Thought about you immediately.
Wow.
Yeah. When I tell you I'm not even, hey, no disrespect to Michigan.
No, I get it. I get it.
When Roger L started making his way out of the room to announce the Giants pick, I don't think I've sweat that much in my life. Okay, I pictured the Daniel Jones draft when he mentioned that out of his mouth.
Yeah,
I immediately fell out. I was like, if I just see his mouth say J, I don't know what I was gonna do.
That's right. Somebody gonna get hit.
Yeah, nightmares, man.
No doubt.
I'm so glad that you didn't have to go through that. I think you and our guy Russ Telefero also glad that was not the case. But let's get into the draft. We got to talk into it. We'll start off first with one sentence. Up on one sentence, James. I'm sorry, man. The Atlanta Falcons drafting Michael Penix Jr. with the 8th selection overall. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people saw Penix as obviously one of the top quarterbacks in this draft, and there were some cases where people saw him getting drafted this high. Now, With that being said, there's a lot of people that did not see him going to the Atlanta Falcons. So it's going to be very interesting here. James, I'm going to save you for last on this one. But Lamont, I'll start with you. What's your one sentence on Michael Penix Jr. being drafted by the Atlanta Falcons?
Well, my one sentence actually comes from the Blueprint, by Jay-Z. And I think it's only fitting. And he said, I'm on the practice field doing two-a-days, so I don't drop the ball when it's through my way. And I think that what I mean by that is the last time that the Falcons, had that deep push and they got to go far and they were, towards the top of the football world was Matt Ryan. That was their quarterback from 08 to 21. He's probably one of the most prominent players in franchise history. MVP, 2016. Their last winning season was when he was in his prime in 2017. They do need an heir apparent to the 35-year-old Cousins. The only thing that I don't like about it, and that I feel like most people don't like about it, is that we all thought that the Falcons were in a win now situation, right? And drafting 8th, there's so many other things that can help you. Now, Penix is one of my favorite quarterbacks in this draft. I've been on the record saying it. I do think that he'll work out for them, after the Cousins era. But to draft him 8th, man, it's just it says a lot about where they think they are, in terms of the league. And I'll touch more on that later. All
right. Cody, we head to you next. Still breathing a beautiful sigh of relief that JJ McCarthy is not in blue. So Cody, we head to you, man. What is your one sentence on Michael Penix Jr. getting drafted to the Falcons?
My one sentence on Penix being drafted to the Falcons is this pick is not as bad as a lot of people are making it. Now, I will say I'm probably going to sound a little condescending when maybe condescending isn't the right word, but later on in the show, I'm going to say something that probably is not going to really make sense to what I'm saying right now. But I guess I'm playing a little devil's advocate right here, right? And I look at Michael Penix, and I do believe that he has all the traits and talent in the world to be a very good quarterback in the NFL. And while, yes, a premium pick at 8th overall for the Falcons, they had that. And yes, they could have gone to a lot of different positions like edge or something on the defensive side of the ball. I look at it like this. Did you make a commitment to Kirk Cousins? Yes, you did. Gave him a 4-year, $180 million deal. He's basically getting $45 million a year. But they can get out of that contract after year 2. Now, of course, you don't really want to think that way because you're hoping Kirk Cousins is going to be able to lead the Falcons to the promised land. You're hoping that these 4 years are going to be great. But let's be real. He's 35, coming off an Achilles injury. We don't know if he's going to bounce back to what Kirk Cousins was in Minnesota. And I mean, Kirk wasn't necessarily a top 5 quarterback when he was in Minnesota at that. So I look at it like this. You bring in Michael Penix. You're likely not going to be able to draft Michael Penix if you wait to the second round because the teams like the Vikings or the Broncos or the Raiders possibly draft him at 11, 12, or 13. So I think that this is a good strategy. You bring in Penix. If the Cousins era doesn't work for those first 2 years, get him off the books. You got money to spend somewhere else. Penix comes in kind of like a Jordan Love does with Green Bay, and maybe you're able to ball out with that young core.
All right. I love it. I'm not mad at that because that's kind of where I was thinking. Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. Initially, I was like, "What is happening here?" So, man, and I know had that reaction. We head next. One sentence. James Brown, what's your one sentence on Michael Penix Jr. becoming an Atlanta Falcon?
Take your time.
One sentence. Modern day problems require modern day solutions. And, when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons, what's been the main problem for the Falcons the past 3 seasons? A lot of people think, pass rush. They're young. They're devoid of talent. The main problem for the Atlanta Falcons the past 3 years has been quarterback play. More specifically, the last 2 seasons under Arthur Smith, where the team was still 7-10 due to bad quarterback play. Over the last 2 seasons, really since Smith has gotten there, Atlanta's always been competitive within their division, and down the stretch, they lose out on winning these divisional games, these close games, due to poor quarterback play, whether it's Marcus Mariota throwing the ball off his back after he already hit the turf in Carolina, whether it's Desmond Ridder forgetting that his team was wearing white jerseys when Carolina was wearing all black.
Man, come
And,
on, bro.
giving the Panthers their second win of the season. I don't know how the hell he made that mistake. Or, whether it's, Taylor Heineke getting thrown in the fire and just burning up. It's been tough. It's been tough. And, it's just hard at this point. But there was hope. There was hope in the form of Kirk Cousins, the one-legged Kirk Cousins coming off a torn Achilles. And if you are the Falcons, yes, you did pay him, but you had no other choice. You could have signed a stopgap. You could have signed Jacoby Brissett. You could have signed Gardner Minshew that went to Oakland. You could have signed who did Washington get? Marcus Mariota. God, don't bring him back. But Sam Darnold that went to Minnesota. There was an option out there if you wanted a stopgap. But let's be real. If you were the Falcons, if Michael Penix was your guy, which they said he was the second quarterback on their board, if you signed any of those other guys, teams already know you're going to want a quarterback at 8. Signing Kirk Cousins was the ultimate, I guess, smokescreen to kind of protect your asset, and that the eagle of your eye was Michael Penix. And so Atlanta got that accomplished. Is it unorthodox? Hell yeah. But at the same time, as long as you got your guy, it doesn't matter. Especially if he comes in there and he plays well, team wins. So, I'm just looking forward to hopefully seeing some Falcon wins this season and the quarterback completing the pass to our receivers and not the defenders.
Just one win at a time, right, James? Just one win at a time, one game at a time.
Please. I can't keep doing this.
I'm sorry, man.
I'm trying to raise my son to be a Falcons fan, and it's embarrassing for him sometimes.
Yeah, it's like what, bro? You're almost like I understand if you go elsewhere. And you don't want that.
Right.
You don't want that.
I had that conversation with him Thursday night as he slept because he slept through these things. But I'm up. I'm just like, son, if you choose to go a different way, Daddy understands. It's tough out here.
It's a tough pill.
Winning Super Bowls, losing them in the same game, can't find a quarterback. You sign a guy off one leg, then you draft a guy. Oh yeah, it's just hard out here.
I'm sorry, man. We pray for the Atlanta Falcons that everything goes well. All I know is I had Penix as my third quarterback in the draft, so I don't hate that he went that high. I really feel bad for the Raiders in all this because they wanted him. Now, if anybody, and I feel bad for Devontae Adams because I know they wanted him. I know that. This is you. I understand completely. You have completely logical reasons not to feel bad.
I'll get to that later.
You'll get to that later, but it's just one of those things, I would have loved to seen them go there just to see how that would have played out, but they got Gardner Minshew there. We'll see how all of that goes. Now let's head to our second one sentence. All right, so this next one's a little bit tough, y'all. On Thursday last week, no, this would have been Friday, my fault. On Friday last week, Jamal Charles came out. I want to say it was the 63rd pick, and don't worry, we're about to find out in a second. They had Jamal Charles come out there, announce the pick. Now, this thing has went viral for all the wrong reasons. I'm going to go ahead and play why I went viral, and then we'll have everybody do their one sentence. Jamal Charles, the floor is yours.
I'm happy to be here with a back-to-back Kansas City Chief. It's a trade. The San Francisco 49ers have traded a 63 pick to Kansas City Chief. With the 63 pick in the 24 draft, Kansas City select Kinsley Suamaiya from BYU, tackle. Let's go, Chief!
Yeah, let's go, Chief. Look, and I'm just gonna say this, and I'm gonna let y'all go. I love you, Jamal Charles. That's all I got. I ain't saying nothing more. I ain't saying nothing less. I'm gonna start with you, James. What's your one sentence on this Jamal Charles situation? Did the NFL do my man dirty? Did they set Jamal Charles up?
My one sentence is gonna be, it's about the kids, man. Jamal Charles, running back, Kansas City Chiefs. Found out after he gave his pick on Friday night that he has a learning disability. Apparently, reading was tough for him growing up. He battled through that, just like he battled through that enunciation. And he came out on the other side somewhat victorious, man. Made himself a successful football player, made himself a successful career in Kansas City. Him getting out there, having the courage to do that, I will definitely commend him for that. I think the Chiefs kind of did him a little dirty too, picking that player and having him announce it, because that type of name would trip anybody up. But, for the kids that might be out there watching, that might be dealing with some of the same issues that Jamal Charles is dealing with, it's kind of a bright light to say, hey, look, I might be dealing with some issues. I might be having some struggles, but if I work hard at it, I can fight to overcome it, just like Jamal Charles did.
Yeah,
and maybe even announce an NFL draft pick. You never know.
And look, Jamal handled it with class. He looked like he was having fun, so I don't want to take that away from him. It looked like he was having a good time up there, and he was glad to announce that pick, which the first person that came to mind is the guy I'm going to next, and that's Lamont Thomas, because Lamont, in our mock draft, had him going to the San Francisco 49ers. So if anybody can say the name, if he needed any help in saying the name, my man Lamont Thomas had that. Lamont, what's your one sentence on the Jamal Charles? And if you don't mind, give us the pronunciation of that player.
Yeah, first off, Jamal, I had you, man. You didn't know, but I was a lifeline away. But Kingsley Suamataia, that's his name. It's a hard name to say. All right. And my one sentence, is I'm gonna take the high road on this and say that we can't be the heroes that we can't see, right? And I think that doing my research, I saw that Jamal Charles did grow up illiterate. He definitely has a disability. He's actually the global ambassador for Special Olympics. He did a commercial about doing things that make people with disabilities uncomfortable, right? So he is, in that light, a person that is influential in that category. Now, I just feel like, in today's groundswell of social media, it's a hard pill to swallow. People are going to make, the comments unknowingly, in an ignorant fashion to where they don't know. But at the same time, that's all we got to see, right? We weren't provided the background information. So, I mean, we can only judge off of what we see. So, I mean, I understand it. And shout out to him for actually taking the stage to do that. But, as a person who was watching like everybody else, it was hard to look at. I will say that.
Yeah, Cody, I'm going to go to you now, but God, the NFL, I just feel like the NFL could have handled that bad boy a little bit differently. They knew, but I agree with Lamont. They should have said something. Give us something to be like, all right, cool. We understand my man going through battles instead of him getting crucified on social media. Cody, we go to you next, man. What's your one sentence on this situation?
Yeah, I mean, my one sentence is, props to the NFL for doing what they did. I mean, obviously, I take it that they, got him up there so that, his name can still be out there, his face can be out there based off of, what Lamont said, that who he is and what he does for the community, which is awesome. Letting kids understand that, maybe they don't speak as well as others, but that doesn't make you any less of a person. It gives them somebody to look at and say like, hey, I can make it to a high level. So, I mean, I think that's awesome. I just think it's wild. And I'm sorry for laughing, but
it's okay.
He probably got the hardest name in the NFL draft to say. And look, obviously he was set up to do this, right? Like, I'm pretty sure it was, hey, you are going to announce the second round pick for the Chiefs. Obviously, nobody knows who the second round pick for the Chiefs is going to be but I mean, I'm telling you right now, man. Like,
it couldn't have
the hardest name to say, and like, hey, shout out to him though. I mean, like, he read it fast, so like, if you really don't know how to pronounce the name, you would have probably thought that he said it right. And then the way that Lamont just pronounced it, I'm like, oh wow, he really
see. And that's why when it was happening, I said, man. And the first thing I thought about was Lamont. I'm like, Lamont, that can't be it. But if it wasn't, here's the thing though, if it wasn't for Lamont, I'd have been like, oh man, good job, Jamal. Wouldn't have known it. So this is your fault, Lamont. Shame on you, sir.
Hey, look,
the blame all goes to you.
I feel like, to put it in football terms, it would be like handing Jamal Charles the ball, right, on a halfback dive, and all of a sudden Brian Urlacher, Ray Lewis, and Dick Butkus are right there to meet him when he touches the ball. Like, that's what I felt like looking at it. I was just like, this is the worst possible thing that can happen to him. Right?
They did my man dirty. They did my man dirty.
Hey, look.
I want to say, though, in Jamal's defense, though, he wasn't the only one. There was a few people out there that messed up some names. Because Andre Rison definitely did butcher Rook or Ro in round 2 for the Falcons. Like he got Rook a Ro. So yeah, Jamal wasn't the only one. He was just the most infamous one from the weekend.
Yeah.
But he's not alone.
Here's the thing about it. You know, like I ain't gonna lie to you. If they told me, Darrell, you can go up there and announce the Green Bay Packers, I'd be hype. Now you know me, I'm gonna put hello. I'm gonna be studying as much as I can in that situation. The thing is, though, it's like if you notice, a lot of these players they bring back older players, and some of them come out there, especially the older guys. The older guys be saying, "It be entertainment." Go to right now, do the 47 pick, 37-9. I'm like, what's happening? But it happens all that second and third round. That's just what that is. And so I'm not surprised that it was that way, but it's just. You can't help but to laugh on some of them. And then they try to one-up each other. Who the greatest franchise in history? And they'll say something that doesn't make – I forgot who it was. Somebody was like, yeah, so-and-so the best franchise of all time. They may have won a ring. I can't remember who it was, but I was like, come on, my guy. Look, I understand you played for him, but don't lie. Don't lie to the babies out here. Come on.
Yeah.
and they be getting hype about it. But look, that's what make the draft fun. And I think, you know, when we go and look at what it was back in 1984, when I don't think none of us were born. I hadn't been quite born yet. I was cooking. I was cooking at the time. And so I was probably like 3 months in the oven. And so when Mel Kiper had all of the hair in perfect form, and we would have never known what this entity has become and what we love about it. So every year they find a way to make it a little bit more fun. But I ain't gonna lie to you. I look forward to the second and third round just to see who's gonna be like, say a name, you be like, that can't be it. that can't be it. But look, and Jamal, shout out to you, brother.
I'm going to the team. I'm like, look, y'all know I'm announcing this pick. Don't have me up here looking like no fool.
Yeah, man, hook me up, man.
Tell
me who this dude is.
Hey, but like for real though, like, and again, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just speaking the truth.
Touche.
This felt like a Key and Peele sketch.
It
did.
Like I'm not
did.
even playing with you, man. Like it literally felt like that. So I
feel you. Well, we do love you, Jamal. Seriously, I know we joking, but it did take courage for you to get up there and do that, man. Because a lot of people that can talk normal, that sounds mean out loud, that don't have the problem, get up there and they'll fumble words just as clear as day. Ask Russ. I jack up words all the time, and Russ lets me have it. So, much love to that. Before we move on to the next section, let's go and see. Look, did it just there. Let's talk about some of the people who have come on real quick. We got Justin Evans coming on, saying who's great year 1, who's great year 3 or 4 out of these picks in you guys' opinion. I guess we could do that real quick. Who's going to be great year 1? And who's going to be great, I guess, year 3, in your opinions? Lamont, who do you got real quick?
I think year 1, that's kind of rough. But, I mean, I think nobody's really set up to, like, kill it. I'll tell you this. I feel like a Keon Coleman and Xavier Worthy are playing with house money, right? Going to the Bills and the Chiefs, respectfully, in systems where, they can be set up to thrive. I do think that in year 3 or 4 is probably where you will see the quarterbacks come out. I mean, I do think JJ has a great chance, right? He has some receivers. And he's a guy who grows with time. So, I mean, I think that's a good situation for him. I don't know. Other than that, we might just see, who knows with Penix, right? We just talked about that. Like, I thought it was interesting to know that, his agent, McCourtney, actually shared the fact that he was first upset, but then he actually called Penix that night, right? And they hashed it out, or at least have a conversation of, yeah, I understand it, and they're going to work together as a team. So
it's a good deal. James, what about you, man?
Year 1, I think Caleb Williams will probably have a good start, only because going to Chicago, new to the league. He's got Allen, he's got Keenan Allen, he's got DJ Moore. They got him a Dunze. I think he might have a hot start. He might cool off after that, though. I ain't gonna lie. Year 3, I kind of like what the Rams did, getting Jared Verse to kind of come in behind Aaron Donald. So about year 3, I think he could definitely be out hitting on something. By year 4, honestly, I think Neighbors, man. I think Neighbors has the raw talent at receiver where, if they can find somebody to get the ball to him consistently, I think by year 4, man, we can see where Malik Neighbors is in that conversation of top 5, top 10 wide receivers in the league, man. I think he definitely has the talent for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Cody?
Year 1, I mean, I don't know. If the quarterback can stay healthy and Kyler Murray, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. could actually ball out for the Cardinals this year. I mean, I feel like he's going to be their main target, obviously, after losing Hollywood Brown. 3 to 4, actually, I have 2 names. I think Johnny Newton, drafted by the Commanders, with him being behind Deron Payne and Allen. Obviously, something set for one of those guys to end up leaving in the next couple years or whatever. So I think he's going to be able to step in and just be a monster. But then I look also at 2 positions that were drafted by the same team, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. Nate Wiggins and TJ Tampa. That could be a crazy duo in 4 years in Baltimore.
And the setup is real. I mean, they know how to draft well. I can't take. Well, that's the next thing. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But for me, I really do think by year 3, we'll be talking about Joe Aldez, the best offensive lineman potentially in the NFL. I think he has a chance, and he's going to get a lot of shine if he can protect Herbert and keep Herbert upright. I know Lamonte doesn't like to hear any of that, but I really do think that he has a chance to do some really good things. And I think right off the bat, I'll probably say. I kind of agree with the Caleb Williams thing. I think they're going to start off hot. You got Allen there, you got Adunze, you got Cole Commit. I don't think I'll be saying it right, but he's there, right, and they've got pieces. They got pieces there. I think defensively they did some really good things, and having Montez Sweat there, I think he's going to really help guide that line. He doesn't have that pressure of dealing with the things that the Commanders situation going. I know it's still Chicago, but I don't think it's as much pressure. I know that sounds crazy, but I think that's the case. We'll go through a couple real quick before we head on. Russ says, "Thank God, no McCarthy." He's a little bit upset he didn't get the invite. He said, "Too many Giants fans in one place, huh?" Maybe that's the case. I don't know, Russ. Our man Rick says, "My sentence is quarterback class has to be the worst since 2018." That's a very interesting one. See, here's the thing though. I felt like the 18 class. I said this. I felt like 2 of these quarterbacks is going to be like the 18 class, where they had a lot of quarterbacks go, and then 2 of them, the last 2 in that first round, kind of shined a little bit. And I think that's kind of how it's going to go. Well, maybe not that, but 2 of them are going to shine. The others may have all right careers, and that's just my opinion on that. Shout out to our man D Blind who's coming in. He's talking about Chiefs. so our man doing stuff there. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Coach Coghill, shout out to you, man. Congratulations on everything out there in A-Town. Appreciate you. Now, let's go ahead and head to our next segment because we got to talk about how these teams did in the draft. It is time for the Fire Starters. All right. So our first one we're going to talk about are the 5 teams that had amazing NFL drafts. And there's a couple teams that I felt like did really, really good. And now we're going to hear from the experts on their thoughts on who did really, really good. First off with this one, Cody, we're going to start with you, my friend. What are the 5 teams that you said that just had an amazing NFL draft?
Yeah, so I'm going to start from 5 and work my way up to 1. So at 5, I had the Eagles. 4, I had the Commanders. 3, I had the Cardinals. 2, I have the Steelers. And 1, I have the Los Angeles Rams. So just to talk a little bit about it, like I look at what the Eagles did, right? We all know that their biggest Achilles heel has probably been the cornerback position. Darius Slay, James Bradbury, they're definitely getting older, not being able to be as durable as they used to be. Them probably getting the best corner in the draft and Kenyon Mitchell is huge. And then they were also able to get in the second round Cooper to Dijon. But then I also look at what they did and being able to keep the family ties together and drafting Jeremiah Trotter Jr. from Clemson. Like, I just think that's a beautiful story in its own. So I had them at 5. Commanders at 4. I mean, of course, Jaden Daniels, they need a quarterback. They get their quarterback at 2. Love the pick of Johnny Newton in the second round. That was a guy a lot of people thought was going to go top 20 in the draft, and he ended up falling into the second round. So that's awesome. And I just love what they did in the draft, especially in the second round of trading with a rival in Philly, but they got those 2 second-round picks from Philly as well, where they were able to draft a cornerback and get some more offensive line help. That's huge. The Cardinals, man, like, I love what they did. Obviously, they needed offensive weapons, and they were able to get Marvin Harrison Jr. That's going to be the biggest thing for Kyler Murray, since they really don't have anything else there. They were also able to get Darius Robinson, the edge out of Missouri, who has a motor on him. Max Melton, cornerback out of Rutgers. A lot of people thought maybe he could go late first. They're able to snag him. They all obviously need cornerback help. And I absolutely love the pickup of Trey Benson. That was my running back 1. He was able to go in the 3rd round. I was really hoping the Giants were going to be able to pick him up, but they didn't. So I love that pick for them. The Steelers, again, they get offensive line help. They get maybe the best linebacker in the draft, and Peyton Wilson from NC State. I really think that they are building that roster the right way, getting that offensive line protection, still stacking the defense. That's amazing. But the number 1 team, as I said, the Los Angeles Rams, dude. Jared Verse, who was my edge 1, goes 19th overall. Then they get his buddy and defensive line mate and Braden Fisk in the second round. They get Cam Kinchins, the safety from Miami. Like, I just really think that they are building this defense the right way. And in maybe 3 years, this might be the best defense in football. And I mean, obviously, yes, big hole with Aaron Donald leaving. Not saying Braden Fisk is going to be able to go in there and fill that hole. But just the way that they drafted, first time since 2016 that they've had a first-round pick, which is crazy to even say, I think they absolutely killed this draft.
Awesome. I like that. James, we head to you. Your top 5 teams or 5 teams you thought had an amazing NFL draft.
5 teams I thought had an amazing draft. I do like Cody's idea of Philly. Pittsburgh usually always does have a pretty good draft. I'll go with them. I do like the Commanders draft. I like what Baltimore did. And then who do I want for 5th? I kind of do like what the Rams did. So I think those be my 5. Kind of touching on everything. With Baltimore, man, I feel like they always seem to have a great draft, or at least a great draft class. Again, picking up Nate Wiggins in round 1. Then in round 2, going and getting the tackle out of Washington. But what a lot of people may fail to realize, while he wasn't Troy Fontenot, who went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, the tackle they picked up in Washington was the right tackle, but he was a blindside protector for Michael Penix at Washington, with Penix being a left-handed quarterback. So you could argue that they got the better tackle out of the situation from Washington. And then picking up TJ Tampa in the 4th. Again, like we said earlier, that could be a cornerback tandem that they have for the future, with Marlon Humphreys kind of starting to age and get older now. They kind of replenish themselves in the secondary. As far as Washington, you get your quarterback of the future in Jaden Daniels. You can pick up Johnny Newton in the 2nd round to pair with Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, possibly even, package one of them for some future assets. I like that they added, is it Dylan McCarthy? McCarthy's Christian McCaffrey's brother, Dylan McCaffrey. And Luke. There we go.
Luke McCaffrey. You are the father.
Shout out Jamal. But adding Luke McCaffrey, man, in the 4th round, continue to add on to that offense with Terry McLaurin. Like I said, Pittsburgh usually always has a pretty good draft. For a few years now, we've been saying the offensive line has been a problem for Pittsburgh. And I feel like they really went in on this draft class and really solved that issue. So regardless of who's at quarterback, whether it's Russ or Justin Fields, they should at least have a clean pocket this year to throw from. And who else did I have? The Rams, of course, what Cody said, having Burst, having Fisk to add to that defense. But then on the offensive side as well, pairing Blake Corum with Kyron Williams, their running back from a couple years ago. I mean, they have a 1-2 punch now that, while those guys are smaller guys, they pack a punch, man. So, I'm interested to see how they really work those two in this upcoming season. But yeah, those would be my 5.
Awesome. Now, one to throw at you with the Ravens, I like pick wise, Des Walker. They grab him in the 4th round, and a guy who, and maybe a year or so ago, he could have been, 2nd round, maybe even a 1st round pick, depending on the scenario. And you grab him in the 4th round. I think that could really work wonders for them if they can just they've been looking for that number 1 receiver for years. I mean, and let's just be honest with you, it hasn't quite come all together. They've had some players do, Zay Flowers had a really good year last year. In his rookie campaign, Odell Beckham had a moment before he, rode off into the sunset. So they're still trying to find that guy. Bateman is a guy that they trust, but Des Walker could be a really nice piece for them. Lamont, your top 5 teams of the NFL draft. Who did the best?
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, at 5, I wanted to go Eagles, kind of like what Cody said in terms of them, handling their DB problems. But I'll tell you this: the Patriots, I'm interested in them because for all the talk that about the other names surrounding the draft, they do get a combo in Drake May and Jalen Polk, who both were balling in college, right? And if that does work out for them, I'm interested to see like that 3 or 4 year mark or like what they look like because they got a lot of pieces on defense. Gonzalez, if he comes back healthy, like what could happen for them if some of their people come back. So I'm interested in them. Kansas City at 4th. I hate to say it, y'all know.
I know it hurts. I know it hurts. God, I know it's a pain.
For them to get Xavier Worthy and then also to get Kingsley Suamataia in the 2nd round. He could be an offensive tackle, just like you talking about in the next decade or so. He doesn't even have to start right away, right? Seeing what the Chiefs have. But if he gets in there and learns it and he can protect Patrick Mahomes, man, just imagine what that could do for not only his career, but for the Chiefs. And then number 3, I got the Commanders because I think they did a pretty good job, for what they have. Daniels comes in for the dynamic offense with Kingsbury, Johnny Newton. That's a dog right there. Probably the best defense tackle in the draft. And then they also did get a prototype nickel back. In Mike, I think it's Sam Bristol from Michigan. So he's the guy you want to put in the nickel, and he can handle his business there. So I mean that's good for them. For number 2, I got the Bears, just because they just went so heavy. Having 1 and 9 and Rome Odunze, to pair with Caleb Williams, and then new offense, Shane Waldron, see what he can do with them. Keenan Allen's there. And then they got a sneak pick right in the 5th round. I think Austin Booker, the D end. He has a high motor, man, and a lot of people didn't talk about him because there's obviously the edges in the 1st and 2nd, but I think he can turn out really really well. You got people that they got there from last year, even Sweat and things like that. So I think they can turn it around with all those picks. And then finally, number 1, I got the Steelers. I really did like what they did. I speak to what Cody was saying. They get Peyton Wilson, who with the 98th pick, and that's just 14 picks after getting Roman Wilson, who, seeing what my man from Michigan can do in the slot. A little biased there, but he's a beast. And then they get Zach Frazier to help out on the line, which we all know they did really need. So I mean, Steelers number 1.
Awesome. Look, I'm not gonna do a top 5, but I'm gonna give a shout out to my GM. I appreciate you. That's all I gotta say. I loved our draft, and because in most cases, there's been a lot of years I'm like, what the are you doing, dude? But yeah, there it is. Where's the buzzer at? Oh, it's not even on. But look, don't even have it on. So
close the ears, Bowie TV.
And right. And then of course, like for me, what I liked about it the most was you go get a linebacker, All-American, and Edrin Cooper that comes in, and you lose Campbell, so you gotta replace Campbell. You got to get a guy back there. You're switching defenses. You got to get pieces to grow. They drafted a couple of safeties. Oladipo from Oregon State. Who just gave Caleb Williams excuse my French, hell, and made me happy when I saw it. I'm like, yeah, good job, Goot. Get him. And then the Bullet from Georgia. I really think he can come in and make some noise for us. Georgia guys have been hit or miss with us. We drafted a Georgia player the last 4 or 5 years. So, we're just switching G's, hoping for good things there. I like what they did overall. But before we move into the next round, I'm going to ask you guys, is there, players, in your draft class from your teams that you feel good about? Cody, what about the Giants, man? How did you feel about the Giants draft, or at least some of the picks that you liked that they made?
I think it was a solid draft. I mean, I don't think it was like, A+, but I mean, I also don't think it was bad either. Obviously, Malik Neighbors, big need. We haven't had that alpha wide receiver since Odell Beckham. I honestly think that there's 2 picks I absolutely love. I mean, Neighbors is definitely one of them, but like the 2 that I'm focusing on because they came after the first round. Love getting Tyler Nubin, safety out of Minnesota. Obviously, we needed to get a safety after Xavier McKinney left to go to Green Bay. It's all good though. I think Nubin, he's all around the ball. So I'm loving that. But I think maybe my favorite pick in this draft is Theo Johnson, tight end out of Penn State. He's 6'5", I believe, ran a 4.53. Great size. I think he was underutilized at Penn State. Obviously, there's a lot of question marks going around Darren Waller right now. They're thinking that he's possibly going to retire. So, I mean, Theo can easily come in as a tight end 2 and maybe work himself up to a tight end 1. That's just a big body that we need. Any quarterback needs that. So that's my favorite pick out of the draft for the Giants.
James, what about you, brother?
Despite everything that circled around our first pick, I honestly thought we had a pretty decent draft. Finding quarterback of the future. But then what we did in rounds 2, 3, and 4, attacking that defensive front. With the Atlanta Falcons, they had a pretty decent defense last year under Ryan Nielsen. Raheem Morris is there now. I believe his scheme, his talents can kind of make up for the fact that, we didn't take one of the top perceived defenders in the class, but getting a Ruka in round 2. He's a defensive prospect where, he's still a raw talent, man. Very athletic. I think his raw athletic score, his relative athletic score, was like one of the top scores they've had for defensive tackles in the past few years. So again, he's a raw athletic prospect that Morris is probably thinking, hey, I can take him, I can mold him, kind of like how you did with the young kids last year in LA. And then in the 3rd round, picking up Braylon Trice, a guy who, maybe overlooked by some teams, but he had the most pressures in college football last year for the Washington Huskies. So I like that addition. And then again with Brandon Dorlus from Oregon, a guy that, a little bit of a tweener. He might play D tackle, possibly even some nose, or if you want to go big, they probably put him on a defensive tackle. But I think he also led the Ducks in pass breakups, man. So, blocking the ball at the line of scrimmage, that could be a big help for us. So, while people might be questioning what the Falcons did, I think, set yourself up for the future, but then attack your needs afterwards.
Lamont, what about the Bo Nix Broncos?
I hate them. I'm just kidding. But I didn't like it, and I'll talk more about it soon. And a lot of people didn't like it, and I thought rightfully so, right? Like, Bo Nix, okay, so I always felt like the quarterbacks that I knew we were going to try to come up and get one. I just felt like we didn't, and I said this before on Legacy on Fire, I didn't feel like we had the position nor the assets to really get one of the ones that were really worth it, right? And I think that and it's a hard place because we've been trying to find a quarterback forever. But when I look at Bo Nix, I see Marcus Mariota, right? Like I see a quarterback who dominated in college with a spread offense that it's going to be hard to translate, and I get Sean Payton's success, but let's face it, I don't think he's Drew Brees, right? Like, and I think that it's a reach for me at 12. They do pair him with his receiver. So you get Troy Franklin. We do need receiver help. But other than that, man, I don't know. I mean, we did pick a running back late in the draft that is like a straight hoss, the dude from Notre Dame. So I do like him. But I think we could have did a lot better, honestly.
Cool. But so before we head to our next one, shout out to my man, Country Shots. Thank you for joining in, brother. Truly appreciate it. He said, believe the hype. I don't know who he was talking about in particular, but we believe the hype, brother. And then Russ says, James Thank you. I owe you a beer with salt. So just know that he owes you one. He also says, "Hey Cody, that boy Milton, where he from again?"
Jersey.
Joyce,
Rutgers.
you already know they're from Joyce up there in Rutgers. And then he said the reaction to Newbin had been getting the call made me love him immediately. I'm all in for him leading our secondary and of our new defense into the future. So shout out to our man Russ. And I will say this: do y'all ever trip out like now when they show the videos of the player talking to the coach and they always said, "You got you a dog, man." Lamont gone. Whoa, he's got him a dog, and Lamont's out the building. He'll be back here in a second, y'all. But yeah, so it always makes me laugh when they be like, "You got you a dog, man. Just know it." Everybody says that now. We're gonna find out though who the dogs are. Whoop whoop. All right, so we're gonna head to our we'll head to our next one here, and we're talking about the teams that disappointed you in this NFL draft. I mean, and this time around, there were some people that had some amazing drafts, but now we want to talk about the teams that just truly, truly disappointed. James, I'll start with you. The 5 teams that truly disappointed you, sir, who were they?
All right. For me, the way I look at it, a lot of these kids, we have no idea what they're going to do. So, we could find out people later on ended up surprising us. But the way I'm going to look at it is 5 teams that, just kind of left me with some questions from their draft. Number 1, I'd have to go with the Las Vegas Raiders. You signed Gardner Minshew in the offseason to be a stopgap quarterback. You still had Aiden O'Connell, but, you thought Minshew would be an upgrade. And through 7 rounds of the draft, you didn't take a single quarterback. I know reports were that, they really liked Michael Penix. He went off the board at 8 to Atlanta. With him being off the board, are you honestly telling me there was nobody else you thought that was worth any selection? After Knicks went 12th, I think they said the next quarterback wasn't selected until Spencer Rattler went 150th or so in the 5th round. So if you're the Raiders, you knew you needed a quarterback. You knew Minshew was just a short-term option, and you couldn't find anybody in this class that, you thought could possibly come in, probably groom on the bench, learn for a year or two, and maybe be some sort of spark. We know, Minshew's not a long-term answer, so it's like, how did you leave the draft with nobody? So team number 2, I'm going to Carolina Panthers. You trade up in the round 1 to take Xavier Legette, wide receiver out of South Carolina. And honestly, was that necessary? I mean, you had the number 33 pick. You had the first pick of day 2. Was he really that high on other teams' boards where you had to give up assets to trade with the Bills to move up 1 spot just to take a receiver? So, that one left me a little bit puzzled. The Broncos taking Bo Nix at 12. I felt personally it was a little bit of a reach, but at that point we had seen a run on quarterback. Maybe they were just trying to ensure that they got their guy, but I felt maybe you could possibly trade back. Maybe they were fearful that Vegas would take them since they had no other options. But that one left me with some head scratchers. So that's 3. I'm gonna go to Dallas Cowboys. In an offseason where Jerry Jones said that he's all in. Your draft kind of says a little bit otherwise, Jerry. I know you take the offensive tackle in round 1, Tyler Guyton. Probably be your left tackle of the future, blindside protector for Dak. But you really didn't do much else to, I think, really help him in this draft class. You didn't get him a running back. For the love of God, you signed Zeke. Zeke is back in Dallas, ladies and gentlemen. I don't get that one either. And then, CeeDee Lamb is up for a contract. We don't know who his running mate's going to be as wide receiver 2 or 3 for that perspective. And you didn't take a receiver until round 6. So in a year that you're supposedly all in, you didn't. I don't think you pretty much helped Dak at all this offseason. So that'd be 4. And then what? Number 5. I'm going to say the Cleveland Browns just because, Cleveland gave up a lot of their picks and assets in the Deshaun Watson trade and the moves they made. And I just felt with the picks they did have, they took a lot of guys that, may not be able to contribute right away. And it was a little bit of a snoozeville for them. So those are my 5.
Intriguing. Lamont, who are your 5 teams that just truly disappointed you in this NFL draft?
I'm going to start number 1. I agree with James. I got to go with the Raiders. I feel like Brock Bowers is a great talent, but you forgot you just drafted Mayer last year. So what's happening there? It just shows you how far off they are, right? And then, I like Jackson Powers Johnson, the interior offensive lineman, but that's not a need for you, right? And then writing on the wall, on the chalkboard, and on everybody's board but their big board, obviously, is a quarterback. Like James said, you got a plethora. I mean, yeah, the big names are taken, but you got 7 rounds and you didn't find what? I don't like it. Number 2, I'm actually, James, I'm sorry, but
apologize immediately.
it's Atlanta. And it's not, to me, it's not, we talked about the Penix pick. I like it. I like Penix. I think he's going to do well. It's the fact that when you did the mock draft and you had selected an edge rusher, I was excited for that because we know that was something that we all thought that they were going to address, and it didn't happen. And I think that, from there, things got a little bumpy. I mean, obviously, like you said, y'all did make some really good moves, but I really wanted to see an elite pass rusher in Atlanta. It would have had me excited for their defense. Number 3, I'm going to go my own team. I think Denver had a terrible draft for what I expected and what, as a fan and somebody who's, close to the inside of the team, I just didn't think that, they got it done. Like, I do feel like Bo Nix was a reach. It was what I was afraid of as a fan. And maybe he does well. Maybe he proves me wrong. I just felt like, he at best was probably a second round quarterback. And in another draft, he could have been a 3rd or 4th round quarterback, honestly. That's just where we're coming from. And I didn't like it. I feel like, you do grab Troy Franklin, who could be the bright side, but I think that they could have got a whole lot of talent, with some other players. Number 4, I'm going to go the Bills. I love the Keon Coleman pick, right? I feel like he's going to be probably one of my bright sides of the draft. But the fact that you kind of swapped him for Diggs, right? Because you lose Diggs, and as we know that he's been having some issues on several different teams, right? He does bring productivity, right? So you lose that and you're 1 for 1 with that. But then I feel like you traded with the Chiefs, right? Who as we know, has been your kryptonite in that closing Bills window, and they end up getting Worthy with the pick. I just feel like they got better off the pick that you gave them. And it's just, to me, it hurt. And then lastly, I'm going to say the Cardinals. I do like the fact that, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., I feel like is an excellent pick and an excellent talent and probably the best thing for them. It's just the later rounds for me, right? Like, I feel like in the 7th round, I think they got Jaden Davis, the corner from Miami, and there were still a lot of dog corners on the board. And I felt like, right, if they would have stacked their defense to go along with the Marvin Harrison pick, I just thought that they could have really maybe made strides. But, it's also a hard division. Like, you're talking about whether, the 49ers, the Rams just won a Super Bowl, right? And I just feel like it's really hard. So you got to choose wisely when trying to climb the ladder.
Tough picks there. Tough picks there. I know that hurt, especially when in your ones that you like, Kansas City's right in there, and then 2 people in your division, including your team, are on the other side of that. So I know you're not thrilled about that, Lamonte. You know you're not thrilled about that. Cody, we head to you, man. 5 disappointing teams in this NFL draft.
Yeah, 5. I have Buffalo, and Lamont took the words right out of my mouth. It's not necessarily that I don't think they had a good draft. It's really more there in the top 5 because they made that trade with the Kansas City Chiefs. You don't like Lamont said, they've been the kryptonite to Buffalo the past 3 or 4 years. You basically gave them, as far as speed goes, Tyreek Hill 2.0. Mahomes is going to make Worthy look very good, as we all know. I just don't know why you make that trade. It's almost as bad as you just making a interdivision trade, which is normally frowned upon. So I just don't understand why they did that. At 4, I actually had the San Francisco 49ers. I really thought that they were going to go in and attack the offensive line, secondary edge. And while they did get a cornerback, they did get an edge rusher, they did get an offensive lineman, I just kind of feel like they did it out of order based off of the value that was there in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round. I know in our show before the draft, I was very high on Ricky Pearsall. Like I said, I think he's a Deebo Samuel and Puka Nacua mesh. I just don't necessarily think that San Francisco needed him. I don't know if maybe there were some things going on behind the scenes. I know there were a lot of rumors coming up. They were looking to trade Debo. They're looking to trade Brandon Ayuk. Maybe something happens later in the offseason. That's why they made this. But as of right now, I'm looking at it. I don't think that should have been the first round pick for the San Francisco 49ers. At 3, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I like the Brian Thomas pickup. They do have a needed wide receiver after losing Calvin Ridley in free agency. But at the same time, I almost feel like their biggest need was cornerback. And Nate Wiggins was still on the board when Brian Thomas was drafted. I really thought that's where they were going to go. I thought they were really going to try to get that secondary going, just for the simple fact of you have CJ Stroud killing it out there. You know, a healthy Anthony Richardson should be able to light it up as well. So, I mean, you're going to need some secondary play in that AFC South. And then, I'm sorry, fellas, at 2 and 1, I have the Broncos and the Falcons. Like I said earlier, I know that I'm going to sound I know I'm not going to necessarily say I praised the Falcons pick, but I understood it. That was kind of me playing devil's advocate. But in the grand scheme of things, well, first let me start with the Broncos. If Bo Nix works out, hey, Sean Payton is a genius. I think we all agree Bo Nix was probably a second-round pick, but unfortunately, the Broncos didn't have a second-round pick. So they decided, hey, if we're going to make our move for a quarterback, we're going to do it now. Doesn't mean it's the right move. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the wrong move. I honestly thought that the Broncos might look to maybe trade back, pick up some extra picks, and maybe try to attack that defensive line maybe. Didn't happen. That's why I have them on the list. And then at 1, I have the Falcons. And again, this isn't me hating the Penix pick because, again, I laid out what I think could happen. They could move on from Kirk. They could bring Penix in to be starter in year 3 for him. But all signs kind of pointed, hey, we signed Kirk Cousins. The NFC South is not that competitive of a division as of right now as what we saw last year. Let's get that high motor edge rusher that we need, or maybe we get another cornerback to pair with AJ Terrell. Just didn't happen. I mean, and there are rumors. Again, if Penix was their pick, it sounds like that's who they wanted. But there were rumors coming out that the Rams were trying to trade up with the Falcons up to 8. If the Falcons go back to 19, they still end up with a Dallas Turner, a Jared Verse possibly, and they get more picks to continue to fill out that defense. So that's why I have the Falcons at 1.
Oh, there it is. Disappointment all the way around from the fellas on this one. Look, I don't know. I think for me, I think my biggest one was probably the Raiders. I didn't really go too deep, but the Raiders one did kind of, blow my mind. The Bowers pick, I didn't hate it, but Meyer is there. You don't need that. Like there's I just feel like there's other ways you could have went about that, and it just wasn't the move. And I do agree, like, all the quarterbacks, they said it during the draft that the time from quarterback from Knicks being picked up until Rattler is the longest in the modern draft era. So there was plenty of opportunities to grab, a Rattler. I think, Rattler going to the Saints, could help him out and be very beneficial to him. Now, the only bad thing is he got Dennis Allen as head coach. That's the problem there. And if that's why I said, like, it could have been a really good thing for the Raiders.
Dennis is a great coach.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's where I would have liked to have seen. I wish they would have done a little bit better on that end, but it is what it is. All right, everybody. That's it for the fire starters. Let's go ahead and hit them up with the main flame. We're going to switch over to a little NBA. NBA playoffs are in the full swing right now, y'all. I mean, we're the first round. There's some teams that have already advanced. There's some teams that are heading home. There's some teams that are playing right now that are more likely heading home. It's been nice. Time to head back to South Beach. But there's a lot going on in the NBA playoffs. So real quick, I'll bring up the bracket. Let's see what we got going on here. So right now, the Thunder sweeping the Pelicans. They've already moved on to where they need to do. They're set. They're the worst number 1 seed of all time, supposedly, but yet they have moved on. Then they got the Clippers and the Mavericks series, which I kind of figured was going to be a little bit of a dogfight. I thought the Clippers at one point during the season, I thought they had a chance to really maybe do some things and make a little bit of run. They were playing really well at one point. So that series is going to be an interesting one. I think they will give the Thunder, whoever wins that series, a little bit of trouble. We saw the Timberwolves sweep the Suns, and Michael Jordan's son is just out here just giving people the I mean, it's just been a nice thing to see from Ant-Man. The Nuggets go on and they defeat the Lakers in the gentleman's sweep. And, now the questions are at hand. LeBron, I believe, is a free agent, so he's got decisions to make here in the offseason. Just don't come back to Miami. That's all I ask. Speaking of the Heat, they're down 3-1 in their series to Boston. I wish this series was already over. I didn't need to see these guys get humiliated. The Bulls should have won the game. Next, we got the Magic and the Cavaliers, which has actually been a really good series. A good battle between both. Cavaliers have the late lead in that one as they got a game 6 coming up on Friday. Indiana is leading the series against the Bucks. That's not surprising when you got Doc Rivers as your head coach. And then we got the Knicks. We got the Knicks with a 3-2 lead over the 76ers. So, fellas, just want to kind of get your thoughts on how you think the playoffs is going, who you like so far, just your overall thoughts on how things are going. Lamont, I'll start with you first, brother. What are your thoughts on this playoff so far? Who you like, what you don't like, who's embarrassing, just some stuff. What do you got on your update on the NBA playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I think in this year, right, we're kind of seeing the passing of the torch, right? You got KD, Bron, and Steph out of the playoffs in the first round. And out of the three of them, there's one playoff win. Right? Like, if you would have said that at the beginning of the season, everybody would tune in and watch because it's just like it's something different. And then, the stories of Ant, taking down KD, who was, somebody that he really looks up to. And I don't know if you saw Jamal Murray talk about that story about how he was so excited to watch LeBron play, and the full circle of him being, his block being denied at him. When Bron's 39 years old, he had to come back and dunk on him, right? Like that's like the story of an NBA player's, dream, right? You actually having to watch your favorite player and then come back and take him down is it's an exciting story. And I'm excited for, teams that are, in the forefront of things. Like OKC, man, they really deserved it. This young squad who, people talk down on them, but hey, they're still doing their thing. And finally, it's my story in the East. I still have no faith in any of those teams. Like I've always said, it just kills me watching them because I tell you what, my favorite, Cody, is the Knicks, right? To watch the Knicks because you do want to watch that story of them get back, to the top and near that. But the Celtics drive me absolutely insane. Even though they're up 3-1, it's just like for all the talent that they have, it's like there's just no way. What can you say about Milwaukee? They're without both their stars and a head coach because I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. So yeah, like that's really what I got.
I just wish Boston would have just swept us. Why are we still playing? We're down by 25 right now.
Yeah, but they lost. They beat them with no Jimmy Butler.
They should have just let them.
Right,
lose.
but the fact that you pulled that game out with you cleared the bench to win the game, and you're supposed to be playing against one of the best teams in the league. It's like Boston. Like, what do you do?
I just don't even want to be here right now. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Go home.
We'll all watch them lose to the Knicks and be happy, right, Cody?
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah. I like the way that sounds.
Let's get it.
Speaking of Cody, so we head to you, man. What are your thoughts on this NBA playoffs so far?
I think they've been pretty good. I'll be the first to admit I thought Phoenix was going to beat the Timberwolves, and I think that was just more of me and the KD factor, along with just not really believing in Minnesota, thinking that maybe they're regular season champs, yet they wouldn't be able to produce in the playoffs. And I was absolutely wrong. Watching them play is amazing. Anthony Edwards is phenomenal. Love watching him play. I honestly think that this next round, round 2 with the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves, and this is no disrespect towards OKC because I absolutely love watching OKC play as well. But I think the winner of this Nuggets Timberwolves matchup is going to be the team that comes out of the West to play in the finals. This Clippers and Maverick series has been pretty fun to watch. I honestly thought that the Mavericks were going to be able to take care of business in 5. That was my prediction, and again, wrong on that. So, you head over to the East, of course. This is going to be funny because I saw somebody post this on, I forgot, it was one of the social media platforms. And they were like, I've seen highlights from every single playoff game this year outside of the Cavaliers Magic series. And that hit me because I was like, I literally have not seen anything outside of the box scores on the Cavaliers Magic series. But that does look like a good series going on. Would love to see the Magic be able to take care of business, but it looks like the Cavs might be able to do it. Boston, of course, they might be the one coming out of the East. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but man, yeah, me being a Knicks fan, I really was hoping they were going to take care of business last night. And I mean, they were 47 minutes in to taking care of it, but then Philly just came back. It is what it is. I do look at it and say, hey, Knicks, you only have to win one game out of these next 2, and you move on to the next round. It would feel so good to take care of business. And what I'm calling, based off of seeing the takeover, Madison Square Garden West, the Wells Fargo Arena, because the Knicks fans have taken that arena over in games 3 and 4. If we can close out business on Philly soil, let's make it happen, baby.
There it is. James, we head to you. What are your thoughts on the NBA playoffs?
So starting off with the Western Conference, love to see the Pelicans get the sweep over love to see the Thunder get the sweep over the Pelicans. Shea kind of proven that why he's still in the MVP race. But taking it to the Timberwolves, I think Ant is showing us again why MVP should probably be considered after the postseason's completed. Because man, like his takeover and dominating against like he did against the Suns. A team that, at the beginning of the season, a lot of people thought, oh, man, when it comes time for the Western Conference Finals, man, the Suns are going to be in the thick of it. You got Kevin Durant, you got Devin Booker, you add a Bradley Beal. It's like, man, the Suns, if they have a decent bench, they might can make some noise. And for Ant and them boys to go in there and sweep them, not let them sniff a game, that speaks volumes. I know Darrell said earlier, Michael Jordan's son. He might be Mike's son, man, at this point. And honestly, he should honestly be the new face of the league. At this point, he's showing up. He's proven that, hey, he's a top player. And now in the playoffs, he's showing that he's that dog. He's showing that he should be top dog. The NBA should definitely consider marketing him as the face of the league off the strength that, if Mike is his daddy, Mike held that position for a long time. And, like father, like son, man. So I'd love to see Ant take over. The Nuggets still, reigning champs, still in it. Kind of easily got past the Lakers. I feel like if you're the Lakers, it's like you gave the Nuggets your best again, and they were just one punch better each time. Game 2, when Murray makes the fall-away jump shot to win it at the buzzer. And then Game 5 to close it out, again, Murray making the tough shot at the buzzer. It's like if you're the Lakers, you gave your best punch again, and again, and the Nuggets found a way to take it and still overcome. So, back to the drawing board for them. We'll see if LeBron chooses to stay or go elsewhere. But honestly, I don't know what else you could really do with that team at this point. They may have maxed out. And so, it'll be interesting to see what goes on from there. Switching it over to the Eastern Conference, I don't know how the Celtics lost one to the Heat, but, they did. We're here now. Don't worry, bro. Y'all be 1, 2, 3 Cancun soon. Y'all going to be there shortly.
Time to make moves, man.
Again, the least advertised series has been the Cavs and the Magic. I would like to see the Magic win because Paolo, all the young guys that they've drafted in Orlando, to have them all come together and finally start winning, I would love to see that. I think Cleveland kind of closes this one out, though, here shortly. And then the last 2 series, I feel like one of these 2 teams that are leading currently, one of them is going to end up giving it up and tricking the series, and that is the Pacers and the Bucks and the Knicks and the 76ers. One of them is going to trick this series. One of them is going to do it because both of them had prime opportunities to close out last night and make it to the second round and get some rest before taking on the next opponents, and they failed to do it. if you're the Pacers, I know you're a young team. Giannis was out, Dame was out. You had a chance to close out, and somehow you let Patrick Beverly achieve point guard status and like just take over a game. I've never in my life seen Patrick Beverly take over a game until last night. It was honestly flipping amazing to see the things he was out there doing last night for the Milwaukee Bucks of all teams. Like
on the
Patrick
16th
Beverly
team.
was unconscious, man. Like I've never seen Pat play that well. Had he played that well, he probably wouldn't be on his 7th team in like his 16th season or whatever it is. But hell of a game last night by the Bucks. They kept it alive. If Giannis and Dame are able to come back, I can see them taking that one. With the Pacers being a young team, losing the way they did. If Giannis and Dame come back, I can see them taking it. And then we got the Knicks and the 76ers, man. Again, Knicks had a prime opportunity to close out last night. Up 6 with like seconds left, like 12 seconds or so left. And
it was a minute.
You know, somehow a minute. Up 6. Oh, that's even worse.
Longest minute
with
of
a
the life.
left. It probably was. It probably was. Cody's probably in that joint sweating for real.
Hang
But
in there.
you know, prime opportunity.
Hang in there, buddy.
But again, the Knicks had a prime opportunity to close the game out. Brunson's still been balling, but you let Maxey get off for 40 points as well. Where the hell did that come from? Nobody saw that coming last night. And then for them to lose in overtime, if you're the Knicks, you need to win Game 6. Because if it gets to Game 7, y'all going to find a way to trick the bag. Y'all going to find a way to fumble the bag. Y'all going to gritty on the bag to get one of my man LT. And
that's tough.
And it's like it would be so Knicks. It would definitely be so Knicks. So y'all better get this. Y'all better get this Game 6, Cody.
All right, he hit the buzzer, bro.
It's gonna be the buzz on y'all season if y'all don't get this Game 6.
Come on, Knicks.
Let me get the buzzer.
Bodegas.
Look, here's the thing. And look, Cody, I think you're safe. Why? Because Doc Rivers is the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. I think y'all gonna be good. If it's gonna be a team, it's gonna be the Bucks. I that's just how I feel about it. You know, God, Doc Rivers. Why is he even? Why is he still there? Trash. Well, that is it for the main flame, y'all. Let's go ahead and finish this thing up, and let's put out the fire.
Fire, fire, burn on. Fire, 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 burn on. Fire, 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 legacy on fire.
All right, it is time to put out the fire here on Legacy on Fire. Now, you know, of course, I always like to see who wants to go first. Is there anybody like to go first before we anybody got any hands? I saw Lamont say he got it, y'all. Lamont, go ahead and put out the fire, sir.
All right. So I got wind of this news that the NBA is nearing a significant deal with Amazon Prime to stream a large portion of the regular season and playoff games starting in the 2025-26 season. The deal, which rumor has it to be for the next decade, right, will be the first time that the league will stream, will be broadcasting exclusively on a streaming device or streaming service. That is huge, right? I feel like if they don't capitalize off of the rest of their entities with the WNBA and even the G League, which we've talked about several times, this is a failure for them, right? They are in prime position. We're starting to see these players get paid out the wazoo. I mean, the way they're getting paid, I feel like all I got to do is hit a couple threes here or there and play okay perimeter defense, and I can get a bag, right? Like, it's crazy. And I feel like if they don't capitalize off of this and their other entities, this is a fail. And that's all I got with that.
You know, the crazy thing about it is I was hearing that, and I pray that this happens, that NBC was going to challenge ABC for the rights. And here's the deal, NBC. If you do not bring back the greatest sports theme in all of sports, I don't care what anybody says. When John Tesh got nasty on those piano keys, there was nothing like it. So I'm telling you right now, if you try to, let's pump it up and change it up for I will boycott NBC. I won't watch anything. I'll delete Peacock and everything. You just do. If you get it back, you better make sure that I want the same old clips. I need I need Ant instead of Jordan dunking over folks. Maybe I don't know who he's dunking on, or the Durant one.
Ooh, that was
and I ain't trying to throw a slight at you, Cody, but remember when Jordan or Pippen had dunked on Ewing? I need that to be Ant and Durant. I need all of it. So just NBC, if you're gonna, make it happen, you better keep the theme. That's all I gotta say. James, would you like to go next or Cody?
I go.
James says he's in. Put out the fire, sir.
I go. So I put out the fire this week. As of this recording, Marvin Harrison Jr. has still yet to sign his NFL PA licensing contract, which means no jerseys will be sold. No one can monetize off him, his likeness or his image. So as of right now, if Madden came out tomorrow, he wouldn't be in the game, or he'd be wide receiver, whatever number he is. And again, this is just another instance of him kind of bucking the trend. We saw that, he didn't really work out prior to the draft. He didn't do pro day. He didn't do the combine. I know he has the cachet of going to Ohio State, playing well, but then also being the son of a Hall of Famer. But honestly, he hasn't achieved much in the NFL yet. He hasn't achieved anything yet in the NFL. He had a pretty much decent career in college, being at Ohio State. But where do you kind of get off like bucking all these trends? At a certain point, you're going to have to start cashing these checks that you're essentially writing with your actions of, well, I'm not doing this, or I'm choosing to sit out from this. I don't want to be a part of this. It's like, bro, who are you in a sense? Again, I guess he's in a great place for that then. But, you haven't played a single NFL down yet. And for whatever reason, you haven't signed your licensing contract. Your jersey's not out there. What are you doing? What's the holdup here? Let's go ahead. Let's get this stuff done. Because, again, games are going to start being played soon. And at that point, you're going to start cashing these checks that your actions have written. You were the number one receiver taken in the draft when a lot of people argue that Neighbor should have been number one. Some people thought Odunze should have been number 1 or 2. So again, you're going to have to start cashing a lot of these checks, man, that you're writing with your actions here. And I'm going to be interested to see if you do it. We've yet to see a father-son duo make it to the NFL Hall of Fame. I know his dad was a Hall of Famer playing with the Colts. Hopefully he's passed on a lot of those genetics to his son, because the son is going to need it at this point. You're the number 1 option for the Arizona Cardinals now, which means you're going to be getting teams' best looks on defense, top corners, top safeties, double coverage, bracket coverage, whatever it is. So you're going to need to step up, my guy. You're going to need to step up, and you're going to need to prove that, you're different for a reason. Because right now, your differences don't mean nothing.
Intriguing. Look, here's the deal. I mean, he's about to pull a Charles Barkley on us, man. Like, if you were lucky enough to get Barkley on NBA Jam, you was in there. But if not, and you had to, or Michael Jordan when he was roster player 99. I mean, the good. What was the other guy's name? Wasn't there another guy like on live? I think his name was like Brown. They had another name for him when he was number 99. But yeah, we don't want that. We don't want Tarvin Barrison. We need Marvin Harrison Jr. Cody, it's your turn to put out the fire, sir.
New York Knicks, listen to me and listen to me. All right. Y'all take care of business tomorrow night. I don't know what else I need to say. Y'all need to take care of business tomorrow night. This cannot go 7. All right. You need to take care of this game 6 in Philadelphia tomorrow, May 2nd, 2024. All right, listen. Embiid clearly is not 100%. He clearly not 90%. He's probably 60 or 70% right now. Stop the double teaming on Embiid, okay? If I want anybody to beat me, especially being at 60 or 70%, I will take Embiid over Maxey. Figure out what to do with Maxey, with him going off for 46. He's played well this whole series in general. Stop double teaming Embiid. I will let him get his. Stop Maxey. They haven't really had any other players really have that game that we thought. It's just been Maxey or Embiid. Stop one. Let the other get you. Take care of business. Finish.
Awesome. I agree with you, man. Look, we cannot have Maxey out here becoming a playoff hero in Philly. You just don't need those things. It's
for the love of Cody Stewart, please, New York Knicks. Please, for the Stewart household. He's a good man. He's a good man. He waited for this.
Shout out to our guy Larry Patterson, who's also a Knicks fan. He don't deserve this treatment. Like, so shout out to Larry. Much love to Larry. Look, hey, just finish the deal. That's all we asking for, and just make it happen. This is coming from a Heat fan. Please make it happen, please.
Right.
Yeah, it's bad if I'm out here saying go Knicks. So let's go for it. Before we move on here, let's see. Larry had a couple things. He said Broncos traded John Franklin Myers, not a splash move, but it did help out the D line.
And a terrible draft.
Russ said, "Are you mad at some of the people?" No, wait a minute. Are y'all as mad as some of the people for Stephen A. Smith for calling the league office about Westbrook? And he said, "MJ is that boy's daddy, like Eddie Guerrero is Dominic's father."
He the pappy.
Wow.
Yes, he the pappy. And Statman says, in his put out the fire, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson has been sanctioned as a professional fight, meaning it will count against both of their records. What kind of crazy universe are we living in? Look, man, July's gonna be here before you know it, and that's on Netflix, right, y'all?
Yeah,
it's gonna be on Netflix. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know if we got to pay for that. I hope not. I mean, if we're not, and it's just normal, I'm all in there that day. I'm making sure that I'm watching that. I need Mike Tyson to knock this man out. That's all I'm saying.
I'm looking for a first round knockout.
You gotta at least hit him like Mike Tyson would. That's all I ask for. Happens. But I mean, we know that he's probably gonna be having internal bleeding. But like, I just gotta see it one time.
If he loses the fight, like as a long, because look, Tyson has never been a 10-round, 11-round guy.
Right.
So if he loses that fight, I can deal with that. I really can. But I need him to at least knock him out once, maybe even twice. Look, Mike, if you lose this fight, you're almost 60, my guy. Nobody's gonna be mad at you. Nobody's gonna be mad at you, but he's got everything to lose. So let's see what happens there. Now, my put out the fires. I even really put out the fire. All I want to say is go Avs. Good series win against the Winnipeg Jets. Let's go out here. Let's nobody's really expecting us. Yes, we 2 years removed from a championship. We're trying to get number 4. You know what I'm saying? And so go Avs. That's all I got to say about that. Let's just keep moving along. McKinnon and the boys. I'm happy. Let's go. So that's all I want to say about that. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right, everybody. That is it for Legacy on Fire. Once again, I'd like to thank my esteemed panel, James Brown, Lamont Thomas, Mr. Cody Stewart. Before we get out of here, James, anything you want to say, brother?
Hey, shout out to everybody out there watching, tuning in. As always, please make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out all the great stuff we got here at the Legacy Maker Sports Network.
All right, Lamont, all the way out there in Detroit, Michigan. What's up, brother? Anything that you want to let everybody know?
Listen, man, same thing. I appreciate everybody watching. Everybody who commented. Everybody, please like, comment, share, subscribe, follow Legacy Maker Sports. We got a lot of good things going on here. Shout out to Cody. I'm glad to do this with you one more time, man. Hey, I appreciate y'all.
Cody, anything you want to say before we go, brother?
Hey, man, just love talking with y'all boys, man. It's always fun. I appreciate y'all having me on. So appreciate y'all, man.
Well, there it is, y'all. Once again, Cody, thank you for joining us again for our draft recap. It's always refreshing to have you on the air with us to talk a little bit of sports. Lamont, James, once again, fellas, thank you all. Make sure y'all check out all the great shows on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Check out the website. We got articles up right now. We got actually an article up right now talking about the Rangers defeating the Capitals. So if y'all want to go and check that out, by all means, make sure y'all go and check that out. But if you haven't had a chance, go back. And I know the draft is over, but go back and watch our draft shows. We really put a lot of work into it. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time on that. But once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. We will see you all next week for another episode, episode 68 of Legacy on Fire here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and Bowie Television. Until next time, peace.